Success is where preparation and opportunity meet. You got to plan smart, execute daily. Probably most people fail is that daily execution. They have the biggest plans, read the most books, but they don't execute daily. And then watch your dreams come to life, right? And a lot of people don't understand you got to build up so much momentum behind a plan, and you got to get so much no's before you get your yes. It's truly one of those things. You have to have a lot of patience. And you have to play this long game. You're not going to get a quick win overnight.
I didn't realize Airbnbs in Galway didn't have any fucking parking solution. So we had one phone call of someone saying, hey, can you help me out? I'm an Airbnb customer. I reached out to every Airbnb in Galway City, and now we're partnered with about 20 of them, and we're going to partner a lot more. And they've been generating a serious amount of revenue over the last. Welcome back to episode 8 of Built from Scratch. Eric, you're looking very foreign right now. Where are you?
Yeah, thanks very much. I'm in the sunny Miami for some Christmas holidays, celebrating some New Year's, and just recharging, regenerating that energy. You know, you like my shirt and everything. Brought some sunshine vibes. You know.
Very good, very good. Well, this is your first time in Miami. What's your experience like?
I think Miami is awesome. It's there's a lot of good energy here. The weather is great. People are cool. There's a lot to do. It's a really fun city. I think for anybody that's looking to get out of town and have some fun. I think it's really good.
Yeah, you're doing like 2 weeks in Miami. That sounds a little dangerous.
Yeah, it is, but we behave. I'm here with Jeremy, so we keep each other accountable, and like eating healthy and not partying every day, so we've done some good accountability while over here. Didn't do anything too wild either,
Very good. Very good. Okay. On the record, Your Honor. On the record, Your Honor.
That's right.
Brilliant. Well, here, I'm calling in here from the office in Galway, Ireland. It was freezing this morning.
Oh, wow.
0 degrees.
I'm not coming home.
Yeah, I know. Fair enough. You know what? Fair enough.
Oh.
But no, happy to get back in the office. For people's context, it is January 2nd right now. So we're recording this a few days beforehand. So it is happy 2025.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, yeah. And we're going to be having a full year of podcasts. And I'm excited for the growth of this podcast over the next year, because we have first good 3 months in late 2024.
No, it has been. And it's been good getting some messages as well from people. So thanks for everyone who has watched it and has subscribed. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, like, follow, do whatever you have to. It feels good to get out there and start this podcast.
Yeah, I think we need to speak slowly, Eric. A lot of our audience are actually in the United States, so we need to make sure they can actually understand us as well.
That's probably for you, buddy, with your Irish Galway country accent than
okay.
My little Hungarian Irish accent.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, do you want to kick off first? Do you want me to kick off first?
Well, first, I think an introduction is due. So
well remembered.
Again, yeah. See, I come prepared. It's 2025. New man, new energy. That's what we say until March hits and we haven't hit our gym goals or anything like that, right?
I'm on track.
Yeah. You've had good momentum. So my name is Eric. I'm 24 years old. I run an agency called Grafton Digital, and I'm also involved in a company called Olive for Education. So we're in the education space. For the past few years, providing digital services and looking to democratize access to technology across this space over the coming decade. So on this journey now, so I want to share a bit more this year. I want to get a bit more in depth on what we do as well, and it's very open to any questions or anything around what I do in terms of building an agency, providing web, digital transformation services, and then also education, creating both software solutions and hardware service solutions to provide, a full access to for schools and universities across the world to technology.
So, my name's Daragh. Eric and I co-founded Grafton Digital when we were teenagers. I exited last year and started a new company called Magnate. We are building a software that centralizes communication for companies. We're given data insight, centralizing it, and gamifying it to make companies, specific in services industry, move and function much better than they currently are. We also, both of us have a car park together in Galway City. We're, you know, primarily partnered with companies nearby and Airbnbs and hotels as well. So that's based in Galway City. It's called Sky Park. So that's
we'll have to do an episode of Sky Park, won't we? It's a pretty cool venture, and it's been probably my biggest like up and down experience ever. I was actually easier to scale the agency than to start a car park. Personally, think that.
I think it's just because expectations of it just running at like scaling faster was definitely probably the piece, and unforeseen, primarily the unforeseen barriers and birds that were our biggest issues in the first 6 months. But yes, let's definitely do an episode on that another time.
Great pun. We've actually very good pun.
Because thankfully the momentum's been really good, with regards to the Airbnbs and everything. So anyways, we're getting good momentum. It's interesting where you find your big momentum in the business, and for Sky Park, it's actually been in partnering with overnighter bookings primarily and companies nearby. So anyways, lots of learning out of that, lots of foreseen learnings out of that. But we can definitely cover that as well, another whiteboard session possibly.
100%. And you wanna get straight into the meat and potatoes?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Well, maybe should I take point one? Because I know yours is just more of a macro point, and then 2025.
You go first. Yeah, no problem.
So I suppose I'm just after I was away with my family over Christmas. So a lot of like away from kind of my day-to-day location and time and stuff. It was really good from a planning and learning perspective. I thought it was really good to take a step back and just be in a different environment. We were over in Spain, have a different environment, be able to think and plan for 2025. But maybe reflect of like, how do I get that planning, strategic kind of just thinking time in my day-to-day? And definitely I think it's one thing you and I have always done a very good job at is we used to always take Saturdays as our planning days, because Monday to Friday, it's chaos. It's trying to get customers. It's dealing with customers. It's dealing with problems. It's, landing deals. It's all hot and bother. And again, especially as we went into like different time zones where it was you're currently dealing with, where you're dealing with possibly even Australia in the morning, and then Irish, and then US, is even if you get up like at silly o'clock in Ireland, you're still not going to get that time. So I suppose the value, and I suppose I'm really going to hammer home on it this year for myself, is taking my Saturday sessions purely for strategy, planning, thinking, and debriefing on the week, so I have faster learning cycles, because I think it's really good. Like over the Christmas period, I suppose as a startup, I'm doing a data room, prepping for our raise, because obviously all the investors or potential investors will need access to that. Even taking the time to mess around with new skills on the marketing front, or split testing things and learning new bits on Canva and stuff on a creative standpoint is something a little bit different. So again, I suppose I'd love to hear what you got to kind of get up to over the last few days. I know you've been planning and prepping for your 2025, which is another point we can break into afterwards. But I suppose I definitely want to ensure that over this year that I still have that time to plan, reflect, and then keep iterating and learning and improving. Because again, I suppose I have a lot to do this year, so I want to make sure I keep getting that value out of it.
100%. Like, I mean, I totally echo what you just mentioned there. Like, to be honest with you, I have taken quite a lot of time off over the last few weeks or so, enjoying that environment, trying to switch off. Because as you know, like when we were building Grafton for the early years, there was no like real switch off, because like your phone was going, you didn't want to lose any deals or anything like this. And like now, like slowly you learn how to actually manage that pressure, expectation, and communicate time off with both your customers, team, and kind of manage that whole cycle, because I think definitely like, Q4 for most business owners is a burnout stage where you've done so much up until then. There's a lot of high highs, low lows as usual. And then you go into this, slowly, like things just start to slow down, right? So I think it's all about trying to manage that. And I'm trying to just take advantage of time off as much as possible until most of my customers, will start to re-engage. Come the 6th is usually that Monday, that second Monday of January is usually when they start to re-engage. A lot to do. I've been primarily, going in depth in towards like high level sections of the business. That's where I focus a little bit of energy on, which I'll cover a bit more in my point where I focused in on planning. I think this podcast will be a lot on what we've done over the last, 14, 15 days or so since we last A, spoke, but B, also, came on. But I totally echo that. I think you need recovery, and you need that energy of change of environment. I feel as an entrepreneur, you're a little bit of an artist. You do need inspiration. You need some free time to get that flow and get that positive mental energy going in as well, because it's a long run. We've another 12 months in a couple of weeks to service and fulfill, and which brings great excitement. But also, I'm like, well, I won't worry about that for another 48 hours.
Yeah.
So and then I'll worry about it. So yeah, I've had a good time so far. Glad you did too.
Yeah, no, I definitely got a lot of value out of it, and I definitely think that getting out of the environment really changed. And I do agree. Like, even I was listening to different pieces of business content and just like let my mind wander of like, okay, what about this part? What can we do with this? And I actually just a bit of a notebook of ideas and stuff that definitely you and I will discuss even for our own bits with Sky Park and stuff over the next while of what we can possibly do with it, and even for Magnet and stuff as well. But I really think there is value in that, letting your mind wander, because like, obviously, like, it feels really good to get into a flow state and just have lots to do, and you're just hammering away and you're answering phone calls and you're doing outreach and you're following leads and whatever, and that feels super productive. But I think the piece that I suppose is kind of the artistic or maybe more lofty part of our job is that, like, one idea can have a huge impact, a whole new branch to a business, something that can transform everything you're doing. Like, I suppose the example that happened recently for us anyways was with Sky Park, was that I didn't realize Airbnbs in Galway didn't have any parking solution. So we had one phone call of someone saying, hey, can you help me out? I'm an Airbnb customer. I reached out to every Airbnb in Galway City, and now we're partnered with about 20 of them, and we're going to partner a lot more. And they've been generating a serious amount of revenue over the last
That was
9
a
days.
great shower thought. That was a great shower thought. Did you ever see the meme with that frog getting hit with the water? And yeah, that was like Daragh, like, how do I do this? And then just like click, and then you went for it. That was so awesome. And like, you've turned on revenue there like overnight.
Yeah, and like, I mean, like, since Christmas Day, there has been, and doing the partnerships, every single day there's been bookings with that of like people that cut tours coming to Galway. So it's just about unlocking it, and it's not always the first idea you come up with as well. So really good one. But yeah, no, I definitely think that it's the value in letting your brain breathe, think, consume ideas, have chats, really valued. And I suppose probably a little bit difficult to do in your daily or weekly routine. That sometimes you have to step out of that to give yourself the breathing space to actually have new ideas. And I know that you and I both value that, and hence why partially both of us left Ireland or got out of our normal area to go and ideate for 2025 planning.
100%. And like, I heard this quote from Tony Robbins recently enough. I don't know, do you watch a lot of Diary of CEO as well? I'm trying to I suppose indulge myself in those thoughts and listen to other business leaders speak as well. But it's a really good quote for this that I prepared for this call, I suppose, is, success is where preparation and opportunity meet. You got to plan smart, execute daily, right? Where probably most people fail is that daily execution. They have the biggest plans, read the most books, but they don't execute daily. And then watch your dreams come to life, right? So I think that's like the whole thing. A lot of people don't understand. You got to build up so much momentum behind the plan, and you got to get so much no's before you get your yes, to actually make this happen. So it's truly one of those things. You have to have a lot of patience, and you have to play this long game, not just, you're not going to get a quick win overnight.
100%. And again, it's all completely on focus. A focus fool will beat a distracted genius every single day of the week. So yeah, okay, that's kind of my main point anyways. That was kind of something that I took away from the Christmas period. I know your kind of point there with Tony Robbins feeds into kind of your kind of macro point more around planning.
100%. Like, I want to just give, I suppose, everyone listening or watching this a little bit of how do we plan? Questions I get asked and that I think relates to planning. A lot of people ask me, what softwares do I use, or what way do we record our plans or thoughts? This year I actually used the software called Notion to create kind of a cheese board of sections of the business. where you can deep dive into any particular segment of the business, see high level information and anything related to that side of the business. So I try to kind of divide it up a little bit and, invest time into each segment specifically. I'll actually put my hand up. I'm still perfecting my plan and my thoughts on that because I have taken some time off, but I'm hoping to have that ready by this weekend. So we have a really, solid plan, and I'm meeting, Gareth, company chairman, next week in New York. So I'm hoping to get his thoughts, ideas over this as well, and then see what way we're going to accelerate growth into that. Also, I always think like planning, probably relates to mostly financials of a business than anything, on like what am I going to do to impact my financials, either positively, or what am I going to do to invest into making my financials, a positive impact, long run. So taking that bet. So we use a software called Zero in our business, with multiple different add-ons that help you with both cash flow, expenditure analysis. There's a whole marketplace, So I found these two tools to be my 2025 kind of planning tools. I don't have anything crazy other than that. So trying to look at that in terms of that. So I know we used Notion there back in the day with Grafton, but I think the product wasn't really fleshed out. Found it a little bit better. Using it again, and the AI is pretty cool. You can do a lot of things that are live, connected into your softwares that you do use. So found it pretty good. So do you use any particular software, or did you go old school Google Docs?
No, I used for a 2025 plan, and I used Notion, and I think that's because Gareth.
Oh, you're in the Notion gang as well? Yeah, good. Yeah, because Gareth that was sending it to us, and he's like, I want to plan in Notion now, So I was like, no problem.
Now, to be fair, I was always a fiend for using too many Google Docs and then them never get looked at again. So I suppose having one central hub. Yeah. It's a huge downfall of using documents, because I don't know how many hundreds of documents I have with different parts of Magnate now, and they're in folders or whatever, but it definitely isn't the best way of holding that sort of information. So definitely Notion seems like a better option. Definitely a bit of a curve to learning and how to use it and how to optimize and link things and stuff. But again, it is pretty intuitive, to be fair. I have picked it up and I did all my 2025 planning in there, which is still being tweaked and changed. But yeah, no, Notion's a good one.
No, 100%. And then what I tend to go into is the biggest question I guess I get asked is, how do you plan, right? I think Gareth got us to do a great exercise back in the day of drawing out our business into the 4 quarters, your quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4. And what you do there is you represent revenue per month in each quarter, right? You remember that exercise, right? And then the way we were able to project or foresee, changes, let's do a percentile divide between each quarter to what was the growth ratio and what was your actual revenue for the total year. How much was made up in each quarter, right? So for example, Q1 you made 20% your revenue, and Q2 you made 40% your revenue, right? So you got to look at what way your business functions. Are you a seasonal business? Are you an evergreen business? Are you just more of a recurring revenue business with 10 to 15% growth month on month? Got to look at what way your business economics work, I suppose. So I always use that exercise now as a little bit of a guidance tool on where I foresee growth, where we need to put more effort in, because these numbers only mean that wherever you see that revenue, climbing, means you put in a lot of effort beforehand, to actually achieve that growth. So there's no secret sauce or magic to it. It's going to be okay, we've got to pick up the phone a bit more, or you got to, tap into a bit more into this customer because they spend more in quarter 4, so you got to really play that out and use that as part of your plan. So in terms of actionables, I think January is always really good to start the year off fresh, get some, boring tasks out of the way, as most people don't like doing a lot of admin throughout the year. So it's anything to do with, reconciliation, let's do some of my legals, let's get into all the stuff that I've been neglecting because it wasn't driving me towards my actual business goal. throughout the year. So I tend to do that. Like what I've been doing, started today, a couple of hours ago, is I created like a little bit of a focus sheet for every team member in Grafton Digital, where I've given everybody, this is what I'd like you to focus on in January. So I didn't give them a whole quarterly picture. This is what I'd like you to achieve in January. This is a little bit of context for everybody in the business on like where we're going, where we're pivoting. These are the things that I want to, like bring up over the year. So it's like everyone sees the long picture, but I'm giving like instant focus points and access, action points. So when Monday we return, it's not, oh, let me see my emails or whatever. It's like, okay, the meeting here, let's go do this, So I'm trying to accelerate that whole, that whole reaction, I suppose, in terms of execution, that we're not sitting around planning our plans, because I think that's what a lot of businesses do. So that's like my first 2 points, So do you want to add anything, or have you any thoughts towards that?
No, I think it's a good move, and I suppose it's definitely a huge amount of value in, like, when you give people tasks, it definitely is a huge value. I think you get more buy-in when they see the big picture where everyone's going. I think it's the right move. And I think you doing the legwork over the time off is a good move, because obviously, like you said, you hit the ground running come Monday versus groggily coming in. Hey guys, okay, we need to start doing things. Okay, what are we doing? Oh, what were we working on before Christmas? I can't even remember. It's trying to speed that up. Like, I suppose we're in a unique scenario that we didn't really stop over Christmas. Like the ball, there were still weekly calls every week. Like, we didn't stop. Because again, we're obviously going for launch in end of Q1, kind of start of Q2 this year. So a hard launch. So we didn't obviously let up because we're a startup and it's obviously slightly different. But no, I definitely think that's hugely valuable. And I think, like, really setting a clear path for like what does success look like. I suppose for us in January, like, our big one is that we want to onboard all of the Grafton team onto Magnate, and we're going to start trialing it. So, I was on a call with the whole team about an hour and a half before this, getting them all hyped. They're excited about it. We're doing lots of cringe tests, like I talked about in a previous episode, where we're onboarding people and letting it happen. We're doing it with older people as well, so that any of the pits are, kinks are worked out, and I have no doubt the Grafton team will find lots of more bugs and improvements. But
we'll give you a lot of love. Don't worry, we'll give you a lot of love back.
I have no doubt. But I think you're dead on. Obviously, on the software side of the points you're making, where I'm using less software probably than you're using. Still, Notion to be the main one. We're using obviously Jira and GitHub, Slack. But
there's no point for overkill though of software usage. Like,
no.
A lot of productivity freaks, I call them, where you have 100 softwares, kind of doing the same thing. I try to tap in. I'm trying to have less software subscriptions. I think we all have way too much usually anyways. Trying to reduce that, and let me try to use and grow into the softwares I did choose, firstly, so like Atlassian products, their Jiras of the world and all them, like, they have so much utility, and there's people don't use it enough, so I just try to lean into that. I suppose another quick thing I wanted to drop in is, like, how do companies project revenue? I think that's one of the biggest things where people freeze towards the end of the year and they're like, oh my God, how do I even start with this? Or, like, how does this work? And like the method I try to use, as probably very similar to you, is like when, I suppose you're actually different because now you're in a startup.
Yeah.
I just had to realize that a second, right?
That's okay.
But the method I've used this year is I've tried to create my top customer profiles, my top 10 customers, what are their spending trends, what percentage of revenue did they make up, what part of the year did they grow in with me, so I can try to use assumptions, right? I think accountancy, we've learned, is all about assuming trends, identifying growth points, pivotal points, identifying where you can reduce certain things. But this is where we look at, like, how do I roughly estimate what my next year's growth is? Because as you become a bigger business, I think growth can kind of slow down in terms of you're no longer growing 600-700%. You might be growing 100% or 200%, which is still quite significant, right? But it's like, I think that one of the most important parts of where I'm going to be experiencing is to ensure that both service delivery stays at a high quality while the business grows. it's going to be very easy to take your eye off the ball when you're growing a business and all you're looking at is your revenue targets. And suddenly you haven't scaled your team, your systems, your operations, and suddenly you end up getting bad customer phone calls, or customers churning. So like this is like a real pivotal where you need, I think, total focus in my scenario now of I can't just take my eye off the ball and just focus on sales. So maybe my sales in 2025 won't be like a crazy growth trend, but my quality and regularity in sales and delivery will highly increase, which, sometimes this is how I think also counts as a win, right? Or like it's a goal. A goal is, I don't think, like a lot of businesses think like, oh my God, I need financial growth all the time. Yes, you need that. You need growth in finances, and all that stuff, but you actually also need to look at other goals that would really help you for the following year. So I think each year is nearly a season in one with a business, No,
I totally agree. And it was definitely a good one we started to use, like you talked about earlier, about like, okay, X percentage came in Q1, Y percentage came in Q2, and then allows you then to build on it. And I definitely think it's a wise move, because I think in the service-based game, or specifically in the agency space, it's very easy just to get very caught up on your top line numbers. But we've seen time and time again, huge agencies fall to pieces, even after having huge contracts, via just looking just to keep money coming in the door and not improving your structure and scale, because it's so easy to get focused on that bottom line of like, how much money did I pull in each month or quarter, not how happy are my customers off of that. Because Ireland's a small island, obviously the US is a little bigger, but word travels fast regardless, and if you're turning bad stuff, they're going to hear about it. I suppose on my side, definitely a very different one, and it's been an interesting one planned 2025 on a revenue side, because like on one hand, there's some startups that launch year one and make 500 euros, and then there's other startups, and even some startups in our space, that within 8 months they've done $1.4 million in revenue. So, so I suppose.
Let's hope for the $1.4 million revenue there, right? Let's not shy away from that.
Yeah, my next raise would be a lot nicer if that's my revenue kicking off. But I suppose the big one, on our side is well, I've been doing anyways, having a range, and something that, like, I suppose is attainable, but also pushes the boat out, because I suppose I'm running straight to the US, and I suppose my January, February is going to be waitlist building US side. I'll be over in New York probably in early February. So, and again, in the meantime, waitlist building, and so my co-founder Aaron will be focused relentlessly on product. So I suppose on my side anyways, it is a pretty wide range. I have some ambitious goals on the revenue side and for this year and for the following year, but I suppose on my side it's going to be, relentlessly product market fit. And the big thing I think for myself this year, and you touched on it there, is you look at your top 20% of customers, or your top 10 paying customers and their character profiles. It's a big one I have on my agenda for this year, is to weekly review as we onboard new waitlists, and then eventually customers on, because we'll have a few different character types and already kind of have some of our ICPs drawn out. I'll be curious to see where this really falls really beautifully. We're starting with agencies, but there's other services, businesses that'll fall in, and there might be individual users that want to get on the platform as well. So I'm excited to keep refining and iterating that very quickly this year, because our marketing and sales need to back up that then based on, real users paying us and enjoying the product. So I'm excited for this year, but my big thing has to be very, very fast iterations, because that's the only way we're going to get to we're going to be able to, hard launch as fast as possible and really get some traction in the market.
100%. And I suppose probably what I'm about to say, you've really identified now, but anybody that's listening that's like working on a startup, or, about to get into a startup, like investors and anybody that's looking to back you, look for probably two things. Look for you to have real resilience, and you have a really good listening profile. And the second is that you have gotten customers and you've knocked on every possible door to get you to a certain level of turnover or business. That's what an investor really, really likes to look at, because at the start they invest in you, then kind of secondary into the product. But if someone's bought into the product, you've got 10 customers there, this, you go to an investor, suddenly the conversation becomes, oh, will anybody buy this? Well, actually, I'm generating 10K a month, right? So they're like, oh God, okay. So that conversation becomes much more easier and better. Obviously, there's some businesses that require a lot of intensive initial capital, but most software projects, like, I'm not saying they're not capital intensive, but it's possible to achieve certain milestones without necessarily fundraising big at the start, right? So that's just one thing that I've seen as well. Any I suppose pre-seed or seed company coming to build their software with us, is that's like one of the biggest points that anybody signs a check for is, are you listening and have you knocked on every door to get a customer?
Yeah, and again, it's interesting because, like, even the reaction I got with Magnate, because obviously you're all testing the market and kind of seeing what way things are looking, and I a steep learning curve in that sense. It's been interesting that, like, even me going from here's my idea, which has not really changed that much in the last 3 months, go into having a very fast growing wait list, the authority I can speak with, and like the lack of backlash you get out of it. I'm looking forward to the next one is actually revenue generating, which again, the desire is February.
So much stronger.
Yeah, again, and it goes stronger again. And then when I look into raise in March or April, do our full pre-seed raise, then we're super strong looking. And again, like a large part of our raise and the reason we're raising is obviously to bring our current team on full time. But we're obviously going straight to the US, and my desire is to move on over there and move over to NYC and go build Magnet over there, because I think that's where this thing can really catch fire, and I think that's where we're really going to get some real good traction. So, because what was the phrase you heard once that I really liked? It was, great ideas are born in Ireland, but if they stay in Ireland, they die. So again, great ecosystem for, and again,
that's a fair point, right?
But again, just purely from like. Just on a population standpoint, there's whatever 5 million in Ireland, 360 million or 400 million in the US, or going to Europe and stuff. So again, my desire is always to be an Irish-based business and always be based in Ireland. But I need to be boots on the ground, going selling to companies that have thousands and thousands of people, not a few hundred, which is a lot harder to find here in Ireland. So I'll be doing a lot of traveling this year. I'll be running my boots off. But yeah, so I suppose I don't know. Do you have any more points into that? I know we're going to start talking about our 2025 plans then, or maybe more specifically, maybe Q1 plans. What's a big thought or priority for you?
I suppose just like probably the last one is a little bit of a tip if you don't know where to start with your planning. Where what I found is just like zoom out and look for anything that really has brought any sort of success to your business. These are called high leverage opportunities. And I would recommend anybody looking to see what made the most growth is to replicate that continuously in their business and try to identify. It's totally okay to experiment, and there's no like playbook for this on terms of like what works for you mightn't work for someone else, right? Like cold calling works really well for some agency owners, and cold calling works terribly for other agency owners. So it's like what works for your business is what you better replicate. And I think creating these high leverage moments and actually capitalizing on this really is what accelerates the company's growth, versus you just trying to find other things that work for other people, like just won't necessarily work for you the same way. I suppose that'd be like my big advice for anybody starting to plan or look at what can I do in the next 10 weeks to make a positive impact on my year. This could be probably applied to personal as well, not just business. But that would be just like maybe more of a tip or a point I wanted to make in terms of where you start and what you do.
Yeah, the only other one as well, which I was doing my own personal, it's all kind of the same personal professional planning, was I understand in business you're going to have some outputs of like revenue targets and stuff, which is not always guaranteed. But I definitely found myself and just relentlessly looking at inputs. Like I'm a big fan of like consistency and inputs of like, what are you doing X times per week? What are you doing daily? What are you doing monthly? Because that's what you can control. And I think having some level of success, even look at the psychology from Magnet around like tasks and like clearing inboxes or clearing through tasks. There is a dopamine kick of succeeding in something every day, every week, every month, of like ticking that box and getting that done. So I suppose the big one for me anyways is looking at inputs. what's inside my control, what can I reliably do, and it's all in my hands. Because the outputs, again, like, like weight loss is like, okay, I can eat X amount of calories every month, but the weight could, fluctuate slightly or whatever. So again, my big one is definitely just looking at inputs as much as possible. But, again, that's not always guaranteed in business, because you do need to have some outputs you plan to do as well. So, but anyways, as much as possible.
100%, 100%. And look, the markets and everything does change, so you got to adapt, right? So,
Yeah,
but it's the fun part of it. Just
that's
like
the game.
going,
That's the
you
game.
get thrown an apple and you wanted an orange, right? So, see how you get on.
Yeah. So I suppose what's your core focus now? So obviously you've been kind of planning out like for Q1, and I know you be glad for like a section off your time. What's kind of for the first 12 weeks of the year, first 3 months, what's your core focus? What are you looking at? What's kind of where's your head at for the next kind of 3 months?
Systems and people. That's my next 12 weeks, if you want to call it that, right? Because we've gotten great as a business to serve well and do things great, but now we got to be a business that can replicate that for anybody coming in. And that's when you go from being that singular McDonald's to a franchise of McDonald's, right? So what my ambition is to continue some key hires over the coming weeks, especially where I need. My next hire is going to be somebody really, really specific into the operations side of the business, where this person, if I was to do like a bit of a trace around this person has software consulting experience, has financial acumen, has really good social interaction skills, can represent me, the business and the vision, in different rooms, can make decisions, to run the business both from a day-to-day but also in a long-term sprint. This person is definitely hungry, is not a 9 to 5er, can work different days and can adapt, can travel. So this person is probably going to be under 35 coming into the business, who's looking to really, really elevate both their experience, right, to really grow into it, but also to really, really drive impact, because they were probably in one of the big firms like Salesforce or one of these big firms, and they've probably gotten exposed to quite a bit of enterprise, but they've never gotten into like that's, I don't want to call it small nitty gritty of operations, but that's what probably is the real like leverage force on making this a perfection. So I need someone that comes into the business in the next 12 weeks to really help me accelerate where I need to go into the business. And then systems, I think we've been very okay at systems in our business and automation. It wouldn't have been the biggest thing we would have tried for. But now that we have more and more, team members joining the company, need to get a bit better and to have a better onboarding culture, better orientation, a better service onboarding function. So just trying to improve that in the next 12 weeks, because I think if we don't do that, then you kind of set yourself up to firefighting for the next, foreseeable 50 plus weeks then. So that's on my vision board for the next 12 weeks, Daragh. That's where I'm focusing on. It's not necessarily revenue oriented or anything. It's more systems and people.
Cool. No, and again, super valuable because it sets you up for success. And when you do look back at revenue again, that becomes your focus again. I suppose on my side, I kind of touched on it earlier a couple of times, but definitely my one is test and iterate quickly and just keep doing that in every side, because we've a lot, like as a startup, we have a lot to learn this year. Like a ton about the market, our customers, onboarding, the software, what's the main use points, what people like, what ideas the customers have. So I suppose in my mind anyways is I want to be testing and iterating as fast as possible. So I'm excited to onboard more people onto the test user case. We're doing a ton of onboardings over the next while with different age demographics, different devices, different levels of technical expertise. And constantly my question is, how can this be easier? How can this be faster? How can we add more value? And consistently keep answering that over and over and over again. So again, I'm super excited. I've never done this with a software product before, so I'm excited for the challenge of that.
And I'm excited to witness, because I think I think it's probably going to be like a boxing ring where you just got to keep fighting and keep hitting until one punch really lands, right? So and there's like even to this, you can follow certain frameworks, right, of adoption and iteration and everything, but like you've got to kind of throw yourself head first into this, and like, you know, you've got a really good team, really talented team in Magnate, which is pure, like, really awesome, because you're in a space of innovation, so you need talent to really match that. You know, AI, the whole communication space, just the evolution there is like so different to a lot of other spaces that I've witnessed personally or heard about. So I'm really excited to see in terms of that, and like very, very happy that we can actually get trialing very soon. So we're going to give you that whole agency perspective feedback, and might turn out that actually we really need this, and we need more and more into this part of the software, like the task creation and automation. So then we can give you that feedback, and then your team will implement that, and then suddenly we can give you that real life lab rat experience, right? See what works and doesn't work. So like really, really pumped for that.
Yeah. So no, I'm super excited as well. I'm excited to, you know, for everyone to pick up, you know, get back into the offices next week, and for me to start hammering the roads and really doing that. And yeah, I think no more than anything else, going to be a lot of uncomfortable conversations, a lot of, you know, things breaking, things not working, things taking time. But
you're well used to it. You're a weathered individual. I know you. You're well used to one of those conversations.
I'm well used to it. And again, the cool part is actually with the team is actually bringing them onto those calls and letting them see it, because like, again, I'm well used to this. We you know, we're in business over 6 years, like. But it's definitely interesting. I like bringing the team in and letting them see that, because it lets them in insight into what I'm doing, the real words, the real feelings, the real like, oh, that doesn't work. And you know, it's so funny at times, right? They want to like jump forward and go, oh no, click here instead, or oh no, that doesn't actually work, or I'm like, no.
And you're having to pull that back.
Yeah,
but that was us in 2018. That was exactly us in 2018. We got so excited that we just jumped head first into it, which was great, but also like that's where you learn. You know, and you know, I like that you're exposing them to the outside the bubble of like, here, you know, what you're doing is impactful, but actually look at the impact that you're actually like right in front of you. You know, so like that's really interesting, and that's where people really actually probably thrive, if they're one of those people who like to be challenged and like to actually have that personal growth in their lives.
Yeah, and it's really important. Like the team now we have a Magnate, we have a really, really strong team that really are on this process and are all in. And like you said, are really talented. So we have a really strong team at the moment. I'm very happy with the team that we have. And again, I think they're excited for this to get into more people's hands and to face those challenges. And, you know, we're all on this journey together. And it is the cool thing about going from 0 to 1 is that it definitely is a very bonding experience. Obviously, you know, you and I have experienced it, and you've done it since, and I'm doing it since, and it's definitely a unique piece. But I'm enjoying bringing them on that process and letting them learn fast and let them, you know, feel the few bumps and bruises as well of things breaking and not working and stuff. So it's good.
All I say is marriage will be easy for us, right?
Clip that. I'm playing that as part of our best man speech.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, and like, look, it's really cool. I think 2024 has been a transitional year for both of us, and you know, I'm really, really excited to what 2025 has to offer. And yeah, all I can do is wish everyone, you know, a lot of health, a lot of prosper, keep chasing your dreams, push. It is there. You just, you know, you got to keep going. So that's all I can say. Wishing the best for everybody. Looking forward to seeing you soon. You'll probably see me without my floral shirt next time, because it's probably going to be.
Hopefully.
Excuse me, but it's going to be a bit more colder there in Ireland. So my little tan will probably wear off soon. But look, I got to enjoy the attire while it fits. You know, the environment fits. So
it looks good. It looks good.
Thank you, Chief. So we have no listener question on this episode, I believe.
No,
but this was more of a special, quick check-in. We looked just at holidays and travel. We just found it hard to coordinate, but we said we'll just pump one out here. Back next week, going to do that whiteboarding exercise. So that'll come out the following week. So we'll get back on track on this. So we didn't actually miss a week technically or anything, but look, we'll keep pushing. So excited for this podcast.
Yeah, no. I think it's been a big year for this podcast, and thank you to anyone listening this far in the episode. Really appreciate anyone giving the episode a full listen as well. So, here, hope you enjoyed it. This is episode 8 of Built from Scratch, and yeah, big things this year. And again, if you have any listener questions, send them in. Give us a follow on all the different platforms. Engage with us. More than happy to chat business, arrange calls, all that sort of stuff. Again, we're here to interact as well, not to put out content. So we want to make this a real community. So and hear about it. We love talking business.
100%. And don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and do all those great things. We appreciate that. And yeah, we'll see you soon, and Happy New Year, everybody.
Amazing. Thanks, guys, for listening. Thank you.